I think he's very correct in the sense that once they got the injuries, I think things seemed to change a little bit, because for the first 20 minutes of that particular match, they seemed to have the momentum. They were the more attacking side, and basically what Manchester United was doing was just to sit back and try to catch them on a counter-attack. But as soon as Socrates left the pitch, you could feel that the balance had tilted a little bit, because Manchester United started gaining forays into Arsenal's defending third. And I think the confidence of the team also seem to go down a little bit, because they all understand, just as we do, that Socrates is a very, very integral part of their defense line. And of course, in the second half, just as they were trying to build on the momentum again and starting to attack, with more fluidity, again, another injury to a very, very senior player who was, of course, expected, to be the pillar in the absence of Socrates. So I think those two injuries might, have worked to their disadvantage of the Arsenal side. But I also think that they lacked the cutting edge, because they did create a few chances in the first half, but they couldn't quite, capitalize on those particular chances. And as Fred clearly hinted, in the first half, Manchester United only had 2 shots on target, but with 2 shots on target, they were leading, 2-1.
2 goals. All right, now I'm going to pose a question to Fred, of which has been our question of the day today, also on our social media handles. So we asked you, do you feel Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done enough to convince that he can be a permanent manager at Manchester United? I mean, convince the officials, or rather the club owners, that he can take this job permanently?
Well, I think he's done that. I think he's even convinced himself, because initially I believe that even himself, he was not sure that he could do what he's done. I think the main thing that Ole Gunnar has done here, I don't know, I don't think he's done a lot of magic. I think what he's done is just to set the team psychologically, because the team had lost that psychological grip, and the moment you lose your psychological grip, more so in a team sport, it affects you. So when he came in, he's more or less breathing fresh breath into the team, the way he's been psyching his players, and you could see even the players who are down, the Bolingolis, the Sanchez of this world. These are players who are very good. Romelu Lukaku is good, more so on his left foot, but he had lost the confidence. His psychological set was not there. He was not ready to play even in an FA match, leave alone in an English Premier League, because it's more competitive when you play in the league. But he's turned the tides, and you can now see the teamwork. You can now see even the way Manchester United is celebrating. You could realize that before, the celebration was more or less individual. There was no cohesion even in their celebration. But this time round, you can see that. So I think time has come for United to, and I like what happens in Spain, because in Spain you cannot be an interim coach for more than 2 weeks. In England, they don't have a cap on that. But in Spain, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to make a decision. They have to make either to confirm you, or perhaps to bring somebody else. And I think Manchester United, this is the time to confirm Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because the moment you let it go, then perhaps the negatives might start creeping in.
Would it be good to just make a decision now, or just wait until the end of the season? How would you approach this, Anthony?
Well, I think it's good to take time, because they might be rushing it if they declare him as a coach right now. And yes, he has been getting good results. It's 8 wins out of 8 matches. But I think Manchester United is a very, very big club. It goes more than just 8 wins. It's about titles. Can he really deliver the titles? I think that's a different question altogether. But I'd like to agree with what Arocho said earlier on. I think what he's basically done, he has created a conducive environment for all players to express themselves, for all players, to thrive. And I saw Lukaku earlier on saying that there's one thing that the coach really does that they probably didn't see, or didn't get from the previous coach, and that's the fact that he always lets you know why you're not playing, and he talks to everybody. Makes everybody feel exactly. He makes everybody feel like they are very, very important, part of the team. And that's what I think a lot of coaches get wrong. They always pick or pinpoint, the star players, the Pogbas of this world, the Rashfords. They'll try and bring them a bit closer, the Lukakus, and just make them feel like they're superior. And you really don't want to do that in a team sport. Ensure that everybody is on the same level. Ensure that everybody gets the same treatment. And I think that's probably what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done at Manchester.
Speaking of good results and titles, Fred, what would be the target here for Manchester United this season? What would be a good season for them?
Well, winning the league will be overstretching their luck. I think they might not win the league. With the current form at City and Liverpool, I think it will be more than a dream for them to win the league. I think doing 3 or 4, qualifying for the Champions League should be a good kind of...
Get into the top 4?
Yes, it's a target that is achievable. It's something that they don't need to stretch a lot. They just need to keep the momentum on. They need to keep that kind of vibe, the positive vibe that currently is at Manchester United will propel them. So the league might be an overstretch because even if they win against Man City and win against Liverpool in the second leg, they might not be somehow able to catch up with the two. Because you only talk about yourself. It will be quite unfair for Manchester United to start expecting other teams to cut down the lead of Liverpool and Man City.
And the 2 cup competitions that they're still in contention, the Champions League and the FA Cup.
Those should come as consolation. I think the FA Cup is something that is reachable. Is reachable, going by the current teams that are still there. Champions League might be an overstretching once again. Because with the Champions League, everybody who is there is a big boy. And these big boys will not like to lose against...
So it's more or less just take it day by day right now, enjoy the football.
Just enjoy playing.
And I can see you nodding in agreement.
Certainly, but I think there's one scenario that I would like to see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going through, and that will, for me, will determine whether he's good enough to handle this squad or not. Turbulent times, because that's where a lot of managers tend to get things wrong. That's where Mourinho got it wrong, because when Manchester United were winning, we were all singing that Jose Mourinho is one of the best coaches.
Also praising
but then when they started struggling, that's when the blame game started, and so we are yet to see Ole Gunnar we are yet to see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer handling that sort of situation, to see whether he's an all-round coach.
All right, let's shift our attention to another North London team that was eliminated for the second time in the space of 1 week. Tottenham Hotspurs losing 2-0 to Crystal Palace. Now, I did not see this coming. I don't know about you guys.
I did. I saw it coming. I looked at the squad that Pochettino decided to field in this particular match, and I thought maybe this is not a good enough squad to beat this Crystal Palace, because collectively as a team, Crystal Palace don't have a lot of quality players, but then they do have a few players that tend to make a difference, and especially in these big matches. Look at what Townsend did in this particular match. Of course, Zaha did not have a very good match in this particular event, but then again, we had an 18-year-old. We had Kyle Walker-Peters playing as a left back, while when you had Danny Rose on the bench. So I saw a few inclusions in this particular lineup. Victor Wanyama was there. He's a very good player. Of course, he's recovering from injury, but then again, he opted to start with an 18-year-old in the center of the park. So from his fielding, I doubted whether he really wanted his team to progress in this particular competition.
You would expect they would want to make amends after the elimination in the Carabao Cup that same week. But then again, the big question here, Fred, are they really missing Harry Kane?
Yeah, they are missing their goal scorer. Anybody who has a goal scorer, any team rather, who has their top scorer on the bench is unlucky. And look at the kind of record that Tottenham have. They have failed to score in only 2 matches out of the 22 FA matches that they played. And incidentally, all the 2 matches have been against Crystal Palace. So with that kind of history, moving into this match, I think if in any case the coach wanted to win, he ought not to have fielded the kind of team that he fielded. I think he's just offloading his troubles, if you ask me, because I'm sure he knows that he might not win the FA with the current situation that he's in. His players, their injuries that are coming in. There's fatigue that is also creeping in because of the kind of decisions that he made earlier in the season, because he did sign, and I think he's paying for either him or the management, because mostly we blame the coach not to sign, but perhaps he was not given money to bring in new fresh blood. So he's now paying. So I think it's just trying to offload his problems, and FA is one of his problems. He needs to offload. I think he wants to concentrate on the league. He might not win the league, but he'd like to get a more respectable position this time round.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, now let's talk about Pochettino. January window is almost over. Harry Kane is out injured. Dele Alli is out injured. Son is at the Asian Cup games. You still decide not to sign. Is there anything more he can do actually with this team? Do you feel like he's just made up his mind, maybe this might be his last season with Spurs?
I think initially we all thought he wasn't going to sign any particular player because he had not hinted at signing any player. But I think the circumstances at Tottenham right now are going to force him to sign a player because they have a lot of injuries, and especially to key players. They have a few youngsters that they are trying to bring into the squad, but they are yet, to learn the ropes in as far as the Premier League is concerned. So I think he might probably be looking to get a player or two in this particular transfer window. And in as far as getting anything at Tottenham is concerned, I really don't see it happening. Honestly, Tottenham don't have, a lot of quality players, a lot of world-class players that can win you trophies. Yes, they've got Harry Kane, they've got Dele Alli, they've got Son that always shows flashes of brilliance every now and then. But generally, looking at the entire squad, you don't really have, characters that can ensure that you go all the way or march all the way to get a title. And I saw a tweet from one Piers Morgan that was saying that apparently Pochettino had said that all that trophies do is that they breed pride and arrogance. And I thought, you were playing in a competition. I'd like to believe that your utmost objective was to win that particular trophy. So I didn't like that vibe because as a coach, you want to win a trophy. If you don't get your hands on it, if you don't get to go that far, I mean, you should just appreciate that you need to work even harder or probably bring in better players into your team. So again, with the kind of players that he has right now, I really don't think he can achieve anything. I think they've gone as far as they can go. He has managed to stretch them and get, the utmost that he can get out of those particular players. So if he really, really wants to win silverware, then Tottenham really need to go onto the transfer window with a lot of money to splash around.
Now, to another coach that is rich with options of player selections, that is Pep Guardiola. His Manchester City side beat Burnley by 5-0. Everyone here getting on the scoreline. Jesus, Silva, De Bruyne, Aguero. How does it... Do you think, first of all, the question here would... They're still in contention in all the competitions, 4 competitions. Do you think they can challenge up until the end for these 4 trophies?
Yes, they can. Another main character that we are seeing at City at the moment is the bench power.
Yeah.
You see that even Kevin De Bruyne was out for quite a while.
Yeah.
Sergio Aguero was out for a while. And you realize these are players who, even when they are not there, the team is ticking. City has scored a total of 30 goals in the last 7 matches that they played. In only this year, they've played 7 matches. In the first month of the year, they've scored a total of 30 goals. So it's a team that is on a roll, and I believe that the sky is the limit. They just need to challenge themselves. The kind of goals they scored last season in the English Premier League, they just need to go past their own record. I don't see them having some competition other than Liverpool, once again. Other than Liverpool, who might give them a scare. I'm not seeing real competition that might give them sleepless nights. Because when you're more or less challenging for something alone, then at times you tend not, more so in soccer, you tend not to have that kind of because when you have very close competition, it might even push you to losing points. But this is not what we are seeing at
all right, City. Now having Kevin De Bruyne back, Anthony, how big is that for them? Timely as well, eh?
Yes, it is timely, and I think it's going to give them a huge boost, and especially in terms of getting goals. In this particular match, I think he had a hand in about 2 goals. He scored 1, forced an own goal from one of the defenders. So again, in as far as creativity is concerned, and as Arocho said earlier on, it's not as if they were lacking in that respect, because of course they've got David Silva, they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Riyad Mahrez. They have a lot of creative players, but then again, when you can get a Kevin De Bruyne who gets to give you more than just assists, because he can get the goals as well, I think that's just a welcome relief for this Manchester City side.